Starting this hour with new information on the shooting at a security checkpoint outside of the White House. Sources say the gunman who opened fire just outside the White House complex last night has been identified as the 21-year-old Nazir Best. Secret Service officers shot Best in the exchange of gunfire, and he was taken to a hospital where he later died, according to the agency. A bystander was also shot and wounded during the incident, but it remains unclear whether the bystander was struck by the gunman or an officer. Sources say Best had a history of mental illness and had previous run-ins with the Secret Service. In response to the shooting, President Trump shared a post on social media arguing that the incident, quote, goes to show how important it is for all future presidents to get what will be the most safe and secure space of its kind ever built in Washington, D.C. That's likely a reference to his White House ballroom, which is supposed to include enhanced security features. That ballroom is just one of many personal projects Trump has been focused on, including building a triumphal arch, renovating the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, and turning the White House South Lawn into a temporary UFC cage fighting arena. On top of being laser focused on funding his interior decor projects or exterior, the president is also championing a $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization compensation fund that could give money to January 6th insurrectionists. But all of this seems at odds with voters who are struggling in Trump's economy and asking, where is the relief for them? Here's what some voters told MS Now reporter Alex Tabbitt this week.
So we are seeing $4.09 a gallon at this station.
Ridiculous. It's too high. It's too high. I mean, it's like you got to balance between eating or you need gas. You got to go to work.
Just seems like every day, used to be like every year, but every day there's some type of additional costs creeping up. And now they're talking about this weaponization fund. Why would we give them some kind of fund to help them along when other Americans are starving and other Americans are going through the cost of living the way they are?
Joining us now is Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell of Michigan. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us on set this morning. How much are those kinds of conversations that we just heard from voters playing into the conversations you're having with your colleagues about messaging for November?
Well, I think if anybody's home and going to the gas station or the grocery store or farmers markets or union halls, that's what they're hearing. And I think for people have been upset. They've been upset about the cost of living, but they didn't understand how tariffs maybe were affecting them because it's hard to see what tariffs have done to costs. The increase in gasoline costs have impacted every person who drives a car. They feel it. In Michigan, it's been 3 weeks since gasoline went over $5 a gallon. People are upset. They're ticked. They're scared. And I go to Kroger when I'm home. My dad Coke bottles. Return them regularly. People come up and show me. Look how much this is. Or even I was in a UAW hall last week, and the man said, all I want to do, and we're not talking the steakhouses here in Washington, D.C. We're talking Kroger beef. He said, I want to be able to barbecue a steak. I can't afford it. Once a month, that's all I want. People are hurting.
People have the bar very low of what they want to live. They just want to be able to live their lives. And I think the thing that's so interesting about the folks that Alex talked to is that sometimes voters, it feels like as a reporter when you're talking to them, they're not connecting the dots about who to blame, right? Like it's like this thing is happening. I kind of know what's happening. But what we're hearing from voters is they're looking at what's happened with Iran. They're like, Trump is to blame here for the gas going up, right? And then they're saying, you're giving the weaponization money to these people who attacked you on January 6th to attack this country, and yet I'm getting no help. Like they're able to connect the dots with some of the blame. And I'm curious how you, as the chair of the House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee, how you and your team are talking about how to utilize all of this, because it feels like every single day Donald Trump is giving Democrats a lot to run on. But how you get that message to break through?
Well, I think we're very focused on one. We got to stay united. Yeah. Not always our strength, but I think people understand that that's what we've got to do. And we're talking. I think affordability is becoming a tired word too. But we are talking about the war in Iran. We're talking about this. I have never seen people so angry, and they should be, about this slush fund that he's going to use. You're going to pay people that were convicted of attacking policemen, convicted, and now you're going to give them compensation. They're like, I hurt. Who's helping me? But we're going to talk about affordability. We are talking about affordability from groceries to utilities to housing to caregiving to healthcare. Healthcare is a big issue in this country. And while they tried to time the big, I'm on television, I won't use the word I want, Bill.
I mean, feel free.
No, I don't want to get in trouble with the FCC. Or you to get in trouble with the FCC. Because they're always after
with Jesus, it's also Sunday.
It is. I'm a good Catholic girl, but the archbishops heard me use this word. But they tried to time it so the healthcare things wouldn't go into effect until after the election. They're starting to feel it.
Yeah.
People are scared. They can't afford the medicine. They're not going to the doctor because they don't have affordable care. The emergency rooms, the boarding is getting worse. There's just And we all have to talk about it and tie it to why is it happening? Because of the war, the big bad bill.
You know what President Trump is supposed to be talking about. If you listen to his chief of staff and folks in his administration, he's supposed to be talking about the economy. And he even went to Suffern, New York, to the district of Republican Congressman Mike Lawler to talk about the economy, Congresswoman Dingell. But listen to what he actually talked about.
The Democrats voted for open borders. They voted for open borders. And if they get in, you're going to have open borders again. You're going to have millions of people coming in. When we talk about men playing in women's sports, I'll tell you how ridiculous it is. You had one candidate named Sleepy Joe Biden. What's a better name? Sleepy Joe Biden or Crooked Joe Biden? Ready? Who likes Sleepy Joe Biden? Who likes Crooked Joe Biden? About pretty similar. They're both pretty good.
Congresswoman, we've just spent the beginning of this conversation and just for weeks now talking about high gas prices, high everything, affordability, and yet he is talking about all of these other things. I wonder, in Michigan, are Michiganders talking about Joe Biden? Are they talking about open borders? Are they talking about immigration?
So I
in
want
the
to
way
say
he's
this.
talking
No,
about
they're not. And by the way, not only are they not talking about it, he says he doesn't think about people. He doesn't care about people. The cost of stuff.
Peanuts.
It's peanuts. But, this isn't the same Donald Trump that got elected in 2016. When he got elected in 2016, I said he was going to get elected because you all thought I was crazy. But I was in those union halls, and he understood bad trade deals. He understood that workers had seen their jobs shipped overseas. He understood that anxiety, and he played to it. His just total callousness, total lack of understanding how people across this country are hurting, really hurting, trying to make ends meet. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about the kids that are graduating can't find jobs. Parents can't afford to send their kids to college. People can't afford to go to the doctor or pay for the medicine. And we have shortages of medicine. And he's not talking about those kitchen table issues that matter to people every single day and keep them up at night scared.
Unburdened by a second term, potentially. But let's talk about some of your Republican colleagues. You talk to Republicans. You have Republican friends.
They're friends.
Let's actually listen to Bill Cassidy quickly, who slammed this week after losing his primary election, Trump's proposed ballroom. It's a full screen, actually. He said, when I go back to Louisiana and I talk to people, this is not. I mean, they can't afford groceries and gasoline and healthcare, and we're going to do $1 billion for a ballroom. There were also other Republicans who had various clips on talking about the anti-weaponization fund and their displeasure with that. Is this the breaking point? We have had this moment many other times at this table with you. Is next week the week that they're finally going to, really put an end to Donald Trump's reconciliation package, take a stand, find their backbone, or are we stuck?
I'm going to be honest. I think the Senate, the House is always mad at the Senate. There's been, I want to say, House Republicans and the Senate Republicans are mad at each other. I hope that we did see the breaking point on Thursday. I was stunned. I thought for sure we were going to be voting on all of us because Donald Trump wants that by June 1. Republicans you're seeing more Republicans. People don't understand how much you get attacked when you cross Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I think, I've seen more. One of my colleagues from Michigan, Republican, actually voted for the War Powers Act. Remember, they pulled the War Powers Act on Thursday, too, because they did not have the votes. And they will not have the votes when they come back. I don't know if it's the breaking point. We're going to have to see. I think there is a fear of Donald Trump by many Republicans, and I hope they will find what their constituents want, and remember the responsibility is to their constituents.
And to a broader point, because people think that, when members of Republicans cross the president, they get attacked. They figure that, they're getting attacked by the president. But it's the president's supporters who attack them via phone, via social media,
in person.
And by the way, that is violence. I mean, people do not understand up in there what happens when Donald Trump goes after you in the tunnel of hate you find yourself in.
Tunnel of hate. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, it is always great to have you on the show, and especially on set. Thank you for coming back.
It's great to see you three. And I'm off to Michigan, a Memorial Day parade.
All right.